Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. There's a recent positive article from Bitcoinist.com. Yes, Bitcoinist.com titled Ripple CEO predicts market migration toward, quote, quality cryptocurrency. So I thought I'd cover just a couple parts of this. But another thing that I think is really fascinating that I want to cover with you is this piece from A&B Crypto titled Why Bitcoin Doesn't Pose a Threat to Economic Sovereignty of a Nation. And I think it's fun for anybody that has not yet thought through this in the world of crypto, whatever community you're a part of. And of course, this is an XRP-centric channel. We're thinking through this, engage a little critical thinking. So I'm going to cover this from the perspective of an XRP holder, and I'm going to plug XRP in there also instead of Bitcoin. Why XRP doesn't pose a threat to economic sovereignty of a nation. But before we go any further here, if you would please delicately tap that like button. I would definitely appreciate it if you'd be willing to consider too. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. Don't really know how the hell it works beyond that, but I know if you do that, it's a super number one, 2 thumbs up. Yeah, so there we go. And consider subscribing to the Moon Lambo channel, because if you do that, then I'll think you're super cool. That's pretty good, right? Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. So one of the biggest surprises that 2019 has brought was the announcement of Facebook's upcoming cryptocurrency, Libra. And we'll see if it's really upcoming, though, won't we? Right now, it's just a white paper. According to Global Institutional Markets Vice President Ripple, Brianne Madigan, Libra caught the world off guard, and it captured everyone's attention. It also increased the pressure on the governments of the world to add some greater effort to regulating crypto and blockchain. Now, however, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse recently stated that he doesn't expect Libra to launch before 2023, which is significantly longer than most people are expecting. If it launches at all, of course, again. Right? Meanwhile, Marcus Treacher, the SVP of Customer Success, stated that RippleNet saw a record growth, which was a big surprise to him. Let me go ahead and scroll down a little bit further. There's just another part from Brad Garlinghouse I really wanted to cover here. I just kind of like the quote. If I could find it real quickly. Here we go. Brad Garlinghouse seems to firmly believe that the number of living crypto projects is going to start dropping from 2020 onward. He said that you don't need 3,000 plus cryptocurrencies out there. Instead, he expects that utility will bear out and that people will move towards quality coins with proper technologies, the ability to scale, and real use cases. And so it's funny to me, specifically, part of the reason I wanted to cover this story just real briefly at least, is because this is on Bitcoinist.com talking about, of course, and they're just covering it, but fine, the fact that utility matters, according to Brad Garlinghouse here, citing that on Bitcoinist.com. Meanwhile, Bitcoin itself, no utility. It's not actually being used for anything. And don't give me that bogus store of value argument, because any Ponzi can be a store of value until it inevitably goes away. So unless you're going to show me that there's something else that Bitcoin can do that and it actually gets traction, I'm not buying into that yet. And I'm skeptical of the staying power of Bitcoin and every other cryptocurrency until there is an illustration of real world utility. So I just thought it's funny, the fact that they're talking about that on this specific website. Next, here's a tweet that I hope this is a joke. I really do. This is from XRP Bolivaratos. And he wrote this. Less than 48 hours to go for my $1,000 plus XRP price prediction. I'm one of the few that never changed dates, and I'm still sure of my prediction. HODL, hashtag XRP, stay strong, XRP community. That has to be a joke, right? There's no chance that it's not a joke, because there's only, just one more day after today in 2019 here. And I saw something else funny. So I was scrolling through, and it seems like most people are just kind of laughing about it. Like, okay, this has to be a joke, obviously. And I'll just assume that it is. Are you guys familiar with Remind Me Tweets? There's this Twitter account called Remind Me Tweets, and it's set up so that if you type at Remind Me Tweets, and then a time period. I've never used it, so I don't know all the specifics as far as functionally how it works, but you choose a time period, you can write in 1 year. then a year later, sure enough, this account will be like, hey, here's the tweet. Here's the reminder of what was tweeted a year ago. And so people have been using this all over crypto when there are price predictions made. People will be using remind me tweets to... it's kind of like a throw it in your face type of thing, right? Because people are assuming, okay, here's a wacky price prediction. Remind me tweets. Remind me of this in 1 year or 2 years or 5 years, whatever. And so that's really what it's getting used for. It's for people that just want to shove it in your stupid face when you're wrong about something. Which, okay, it's, a little juvenile, but also kind of funny. So there's that. So here's somebody set one for this. And it says, at Remind Me Tweets in 48 hours, which is the shortest time period I've ever seen for a Remind Me tweet, so it's clearly a joke. And the Remind Me tweet says, yes, I've saved a screen cap. I will remind you in 48 hours. So we'll have a little throw it in the guy's face in 48 hours when XRP is not at $1,000 each by then. I just got a kick out of it. I thought I'd share it with you. Here's a tweet from Pure Growth XRP. He writes, strange. I've yet to see an XRP holder tear apart Bitcoin, yet so many Bitcoin holders trying to destroy XRP. Why is that? I must log off now before I go fighting. We are all hopeful. We are all in the space. No room for any of that garbage. Peace to everyone. And I'm completely on board with that conceptually. I recognized that fairly early on in my journey into crypto, which started a little over 2 years ago. I had no idea the degree to which everything would be so tribal. And I'm all about diversity of thought. And just because you have an opinion of XRP that maybe isn't positive, it doesn't mean that you're fighting or necessarily trying to tear down the product. Like, if you're coming from a genuine place of you're doing your best to engage in critical thinking, whether it's negatives about Bitcoin or XRP, whatever it is, that's perfectly fine. But I think the point being made here, and I really believe that this is true, Pure Growth XRP is kind of nailing it here. It's that, and these are my words now, there are just trolls out there. And they have their money in their Bitcoin bags, and XRP's better technology, it's actually getting adopted, and they feel threatened by it, I think. I think that's a big part of it right there. And then just the fact that there could be a use case where a cryptocurrency can actually help the legacy financial world, banks, remittance companies, that's just an insult to them. And that's, again, of course, that's ideologically driven. So it's not surprising to me that because there's that ideological bend that, of course, they're attacking those that support a cryptocurrency that could be used for such a use case. But the people in the XRP community, pretty much 0% are here for ideological reasons. We see an investment opportunity, and that's maybe what brought us in. And then we found out there's a bunch of really awesome people actually in the XRP community, which makes it a fun place to hang out. It's like Twitter can be very toxic, but XRP community pretty freaking solid, to be honest, the vast majority of the time. So, I don't know, that's my 2 cents on it. But I have noticed that. And here's a piece from Rainbow Crypto, why Bitcoin doesn't pose a threat to economic sovereignty of a nation. 2020 has highly anticipated events like the Bitcoin halving, launch of a state-backed cryptocurrency, proof of keys events, Ethereum's Muir, Glacier, and Berlin, among many. Facebook's Libra project was supposed to take off in 2020, but looking at the regulatory whirlpool Libra's in, the launch may have been pushed for later. However, the introduction of Libra alarmed countries around the world, and the race of the first state-backed crypto began, with China taking the lead. Despite its yuan-backed crypto project, China has been opposing cryptocurrencies mainly on the grounds of the economic risk they pose. According to a note dated November 21st, China's central bank, People's Bank of China, PBOC, began cracking down on crypto businesses and warned it was taking actions against entities trading in crypto like Bitcoin. Let me tell you my opinion before I even cover this further. So, as far as cryptocurrencies being a risk to the sovereignty of nations, because nations have their own fiat currencies issued by them that they get to control, so they'd be giving up that power if that's not what's being used throughout the country. Well, there are things the country can do to make that not a thing. In theory, I don't want to get too in depth with that conceptually, but I'll tell you what, the United States probably has the most to lose if cryptocurrencies start being used in place of money or value, because the United States dollar is the world's, it's a global reserve currency. But for everybody else, it's more like it's just another entity. It's just like if another fiat currency exists, is that threatening the U.S. dollar? Well, Bitcoin or XRP, even if used as money, it's not threatening it really necessarily any more than that. except for the part about global reserve currency. And so as far as sovereignty and crypto finance is used for this or that, well, there can be regulations in place if you really want to fight that. But I just think the world over, it's going to be thoughtfully regulated as time passes. As it pertains to XRP specifically, the way it's being used now, and nobody's really in any meaningful way positioning XRP to be used as money, but you could, just like you could position Bitcoin to be used for money. That obviously hasn't taken off, but you could position XRP as well. It's decentralized. The XRP ledger is decentralized. You can have developers building on top of that, or the Bitcoin blockchain for whatever purposes they see fit. But it's not really taking hold, and so given that that's not even happening right now, I don't think it makes sense to be for a nation to be threatened by really Bitcoin or XRP specifically. Right? It's not happening. Anyway, they continue though. However, can crypto like Bitcoin actually pose a threat to the economic sovereignty of a nation? In an exclusive interview with AMB Crypto, local Bitcoins noted that Bitcoin's potential for expansion rather added to its vision of being a viable borderless currency. And here's a quote. Bitcoin and crypto in general are not yet being used in the same manner as government-issued currencies, and we believe that it is more useful to think they are working as cooperative rather than parallel or competing economic ecosystems. Bitcoin has a lot of potential for expansion, and we can already see that its practical use cases are progressively gaining more importance, which contributes to building Bitcoin's case as a viable borderless currency. I agree with a chunk of that, and specifically the part as far as working in parallel, and that's why I'm going to go back to even if one day, and I think this is a viable concept, even if part of the world starts to use cryptocurrencies in place of regular money, traditional fiat currencies, you're not going to have one world currency take things over. It's just going to be another. It's going to be one more. Just as if there's a new country formed out of nowhere and there's another fiat currency, it's just like that. I don't see it as being any difference because I don't believe in this concept of one world currency because different people want different things. There are different motivating factors, political factors, all sorts of reasons. It's just not going to happen. So anyway, that's kind of my 2 cents on it, but I'd love to hear what you think in the comment section below. Feel free to stop by there on your way out. But that is it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!